Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Cradle News Roundup, day two of the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. As you know me, my name is Esteban Carrillo, and I'm joined by Karim Shami and Sharmin Narwani. A truly somber day for millions of people around the world after the confirmation of the martyrdom of Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei at the hands of the U.S.-Israeli alliance, a man who ruled Iran for 40 years in the role of supreme leader, someone who was heavily involved in the Islamic Revolution and the protests against the then Shah Reza Pahlavi, a man who went to prison, who was tortured, and who was, like I said, an icon, a religious leader for millions of Muslims around the world. And the reactions, well, as you can see on screen, a day of mourning in Iran, multiple days of mourning have been announced. At the same time, the Iranian authorities they have established a temporary leadership council to govern until a new supreme leader can be elected. Ayatollah Ali Reza Arafi, who is the former leader of the Iran seminaries, has been selected by the Guardian Council as the third person who will be leading this council. Alongside him will be President Masoud Pezeshkian and Supreme Court Chief Justice Gholam Hossein Mohseni Ejei. Yeah, I mean, we don't really have the time to do a full obituary or what it meant or what Khamenei meant to so many people. But like I said, millions are in mourning today. And I guess the goal was achieved, right, of the U.S.-Israeli alliance of decapitation. Does that mean that their goal of regime change has been achieved? I highly doubt that. What do you guys think? I want to hear from you, Sharmin and Karim.
Yeah, I don't think it was established. First, we have to know that, of course, till now, the success rate of assassinating people from the region and from the action of resistance, from the Israelis was really significant. But to be honest, yani, as we know that he was assassinated inside that his house, I don't think the security was enough regarding Khamenei. And 10 days ago, he was live on TV and he was among people. So many people are suggesting or saying that he wanted to be killed or martyred by the Israelis. And the Iranian media said that they prepared leaders till the fourth rank. And for instance, Khamenei died, the guy after him came and died. There's a third one and fourth one, and this applies also to the army. Of course, it's a big loss for many people, for millions of people, not only in Iran, but also in Iraq, in Kuwait, in Bahrain, in Lebanon, some in Syria,
world.
yeah, and also in Pakistan, and everybody who's like against the U.S. hegemony, because he was the spearhead of anti-U.S. hegemony in the world, not only in the region. Iran, under his leadership, also supported Cuba, Venezuela, and other countries,
Palestine.
and also Palestine, of course, and they had good ties with North Korea. So yeah, that's what happened. Of course, it's a big loss, and of course,
Karim, I want to
yes.
ask you something before we hear from Sharmin in particular, because I feel like this is there's a very big gap in understanding between what it means to be a martyr, right? I feel like the Western, this Epstein alliance, if you want to call it, they see things in very black and white, right? Like, we killed the leadership, and now Trump is saying to the RGC and everyone else, lay down your arms. We want whatever, right? Like, they're calling on them to essentially give up the fight. But what does it mean, to be a martyr? Because this is a very important word here that I feel
Yeah.
in the Western world is still quite misunderstood.
Yeah, Shias in particular, they have a motto that says that we love to die more than you love to live. So this is the motto for Islam, and particularly Shia, because the Shia Islam were not subjected to like vandalism or censorship as the Sunnis, because we know the Sunnis in the region, the moment UAE and Qatar and Saudi Arabia became very wealthy, they spent billions of dollars to change the curriculum of their schools, to, for instance, remove the word jihad, to remove everything that's against Zionism, for instance. But Shias, on the other hand, they did the opposite. They amplified what's in Quran against the Zionism. They amplified that Muslims should fight for the right despite the outcome. So this is the main difference. It's more than a political difference than religion difference, because they try to change the religion. The scholars of Wahhabism and later on the school of Ikhwan al-Muslimun, they tried also every time Muslim Brotherhood, they try to play on words in Quran and apply it to people that are against the Israelis and American, ironically. So that's why in Islam, if you are died martyred under the name of God, you will directly go to heaven. So that's what does it mean, and how do they feel, and that's why they somehow you feel they don't care. Halla, for Shia, who is the for instance the evil or the shaitan or whatever, is the Israelis. Yani any one who is even an atheist will tell you the evil on earth are the Israelis, the Zionism, and of course the government of the United States that kills everywhere, not only in weapons. They kill through sanctions, they kill through propaganda. That's the evil on earth. So according to Muslims, if you fight for God and for the good, you go directly to heaven. There's many, not all Sunnis, but of course the school of Wahhabism that is sponsored by Saudi Arabia, and the school of Ikhwan al-Muslimun, that is, or Muslim Brotherhood, that was created in Egypt, and then Turkey and Qatar took the leadership, tells you no. If you kill a Shia, you go to heaven. No, if you kill a person against our policy, you go to heaven. If you kill a person who kills an American, you go to heaven. So this is the main issue, and this is what's happening. And hopefully after this, people will be educated and will understand who is good and who is bad, and will understand with whom you should stand with. And as you mentioned yesterday, Esteban, our live feed, you said that you were somehow surprised to see how many Bahrainis are cheering for the Iranian missiles, because educated people and people that are not affected by Saudi Wahhabism and Gulf Wahhabism, they understand that holding a base inside your country, an American base, is like a base for the evil in the region. And we saw what they did yesterday. In day one, they targeted a school, and they are saying that they have the best intelligence in the world. So they are condemning themselves. They killed around, help me here, Esteban, I think 120 was the final.
The girls?
Yeah, I thought it was 108.
108, it was
108. They killed 108 girl students on the first hour of
elementary
the
school.
Elementary school. And they are saying they have the best intelligence and we know everything. So you did this deliberately, and now they are getting the response of their actions. And please, people should know we are still in day 2. They are striking everything in the region, the Iranians, and they have the right to, because they were targeted. They didn't start this, as the Secretary of War said yesterday. He said he had the audacity to say that the United States didn't start this, Iran started this. How Iran started this?
I just want to interject a little bit about how Karim describes martyrdom. He made it sound a little bit like the Shia would rather be dead than alive, and that's not true. I think the Shia have a heightened and acute sense of injustice that emanates from the martyrdom, the vicious killing of the Prophet's grandson in Karbala. And this has become, even to modern day, you see these Shia ritual like Ashura and others where they sort of, self-flagellate to in respect for the sacrifices of the Prophet's family, those who were murdered unjustly. So the concept of justice is a very, very big one among the Shia. And I think this is why martyrdom, the word, is so heightened in reference to people who are killed when fighting injustice. And so, I'm already hearing,
that's what I
I'm
meant.
already hearing,
During war.
I'm not just war. I mean, just there's injustice all the time without war. Injustice of tyrannical leaders. Look at like how the so-called Arab Spring started, with a policewoman slapping a street vendor in the face on the street. There are injustices everywhere, and I mean, I think in relation to the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, I'm already hearing people, like really smart people, say he really made the ultimate sacrifice. He was 86. He was ailing. He knew the enemy were coming. Unlike Netanyahu, who was in Germany, and Netanyahu's wife and son, who were in Florida or God knows where, he was not going to go into a bunker. He was going to stay in his home, and he said he would rather die a martyr. And Iranians are saying he did it. It was the ultimate sacrifice. He knew this would happen, but he also recognized that in his death, tens of millions, maybe more, maybe hundreds of millions, would be rallied for the cause, this injustice of the Americans and the Israelis and their filthy allies, the British and others in the region, the Jordanians. And in fact, this is what we seem to have seen all day today. When the news was confirmed by Iranian authorities, people saw that he didn't leave. He didn't scurry away like a rat, right? He stayed in his home, and he made the ultimate sacrifice in order to rally like the Shia spirit, the Shia heart, the Muslim heart, okay, who recognizes martyrdom as the ultimate sacrifice, and to rally them against a humongous evil being carried out against the Ummah. And that's a sentiment that resonates throughout the Muslim street today, Shia or Sunni. I mean, as you can hear, with the people cheering on missiles hitting U.S. bases in their countries.
Exactly.
Not only that, yes. Also, we have you have on the screen the broadcasting TV in Iran was also hit.
It's just bombed, yes. They just bombed IRIB. Yeah.
Gandhi Hospital. So it's the same handbook they did in Gaza.
Gandhi Hospital, named after Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah.
Okay. Narendra Modi, what do you think of that?
If Gandhi was alive, I think Modi would kill him. No need for British soldiers. Yeah, so that's what happened. So currently, the latest news. Let me refresh our feed. So first, yes.
Well, Karim, while you were saying that, I was just gonna very quickly, of course, ask people to leave a like, please, please help us get this stream to as many people as possible. Go ahead, Karim. And to thank, thank Golden Sun 7262 for their first super chat. Thank you so much. Now, go ahead, Karim.
No problem. So first, we have the UAE Foreign Ministry spokesman announced that the UAE has closed its embassy in Tehran and withdraw its ambassador. So this is the latest, not retaliation, response to what Iran is doing. And, and they also said that they will have a virtual meeting to respond to Iran, and Iran said it was very clear. They consider the U.S. bases in these entities U.S. land. They said we are not targeting you as countries, we're targeting the assets of the United States, and where there's an asset to the United States, they consider the land under them belongs to the United States. So that's what they are doing. If
That was
the Gulf,
that was Ali Larijani, right? That was what he said.
Yeah.
The advisor.
yeah. So if they retaliate, then they will open
Well, he
really
said
the gate.
we
Yes,
mean
tell
no
me.
harm to our neighbors, but you have
Yeah,
to
he said-
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not emotional. I only say the important stuff for me. So, so yeah, and now just now we are waiting for missiles to be to arrive to maybe south of Jerusalem. If we see here in the map, we have Jerusalem here, and I think they might hit here. Still, the missiles didn't arrive. When they arrive, of course, I will let you know. New wave missiles from Iran detected headed towards Israeli targets.
Let me
and
mention
of course, yeah, I
let me
just want
mention-
to. Yes, tell me. No problem.
Just one thing, Karim, because before we forget, about Khamenei's martyrdom, he wasn't alone. He was killed with his granddaughter. He was killed alongside his daughter-in-law. He was killed with several of his family members. So yeah, it's
He
not
was
just-
at home.
He was at home. I just because I mean
Yeah,
we're
and
talking about
just-
a child, man. We're talking about like a little girl.
They don't care, man. They don't care, man. We know, man. People say that it's a conspiracy theory or why you say like that, but man, everything is connected. If they don't kill children in war, they will lure them and take them to islands and kill them, man. It's obvious now. And it's all about religious and thoughts. It's not only war. It's not all politics. They do this for their things that they believe in. They believe that they are ruler of the world. Everybody is a slave, and actually, everybody is a slave now. The Gulf, yes.
We're going to see more of this because the Americans are getting some hits, some uncomfortable truths, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And what? So for every action, Karim help me out with this phrase. There is an opposite and
Equal reaction.
and opposite reaction. And I have to say, what the Americans and Israelis do best is terror. Okay,
yes.
plain terror. If they cannot find missile production facilities, they will, basically a target bank, a legitimate, not even a legitimate, but a military target bank. They will hit infrastructure. They will hit water supplies. They will hit electricity. Okay, they will shut off all the lights in cold, Iran. They will, they've already on day one they hit 2 schools, right? Day 2, hospitals, right? So I mean, that's nothing compared to what they'll do. They will unleash on the populations because they don't see them as humans. It's just what we've been hearing repeatedly since the Gaza war started and Israel dropped its mask. Basically. It's us, the Jews, right? The righteous Zionist Jews, and then the rest are goyim. They're cattle. They're not even human, and we're seeing this. This is how they act. And for them, the Iranians are not human, and so the Iranians. Here's the interesting thing. They are acting. How long have we complained about the resistance axis, and maybe Iran in particular? Though definitely we discussed this about Hezbollah, not reacting the way they should do. Like their adversaries are absolute beasts that have dropped their masks. And yet they're trying to, follow the old rules of engagement, incremental escalation, and then escalation in order to de-escalate. These are not messages being received by the Israeli, the American militaries. They don't hear these things, And so I think what they're going to do, if this continues, is to launch indiscriminate, violent, vicious attacks, unleash their impotent rage on the people of Iran and potentially even their allies. But they only have so many missiles.
Yeah,
That's one
have so
thing.
many
This is the one thing
But
where
sorry,
we're on missile and interceptor watch to see when they're going to run out, because that's going to happen for sure.
Sharmin, please stay in the middle. We can't. Okay.
Your face got off. Yeah, I mean, I want to read a quote from Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, who said, and I mean, it's a completely different type of quote that we've heard from him before. We've had 2 decades to study the feats of the U.S. military to our immediate east and west. We've incorporated lessons accordingly. Bombings in our capital, which have been relentless over the past 24 hours, have made no impact on our ability to conduct war. Decentralized mosaic defense enables us to decide when and how war will end. That's
By the way,
we have a new breaking. The IRGC announced that TAT or TAT, I will put it now on the screen, radar was targeted in the UAE.
Was completely destroyed, they said.
Yeah, that's what they said. So first, this is the latest satellite imagery that was released by the Chinese satellites. Here we see Dubai, and we see the amount of damage.
These are Chinese private companies.
Yeah, okay. And this is the second day. This was not taken when it was hit. So the fire lasted at least, maybe till now. There's fire. It lasted for many hours, and this is the port of Dubai. Damages are significant. You can see how huge the fire is. So back to what was I was reading. So the IRGC
show the second
said,
picture, Karim.
Yalla, I will. The IRGC said that it's a different segment because the picture that we will show later is where U.S. soldiers died, and it was confirmed by the United States. So let us read this. The IRGC said that TAT or TAT radar of the Israeli anti-missile defense network in Al Ruwais, UAE, was completely destroyed by a precision missile. So currently we have to also acknowledge that we are on day 2 and the war will last, I think, more than 12 days, more than last time. And the strategy of the Iranians is clear. They are targeting the radar systems. They targeted the radar system of the Americans in Bahrain, in Qatar, completely destroyed. And now they announced they destroyed an important radar system in UAE. And in Kuwait yesterday, we will see this image, which shows us the damages they did to base in Kuwait. Let me put it now. So I think this is the strategy of the Iranians. And I think by time they will increase their missiles and the damage they are inflicting because it's so easy for them, to be honest. The Gulf, they rule the Gulf. They have the missiles, they have the technology, and the Gulf is so close to Iran. I think they will continue doing this. Yes,
I need to mention something. This is apparently a drafting mistake on the tweet we're watching right now. It's not the TAT system, it's the THAAD, the THAAD, thermal something or other. The most expensive U.S. air defense system in which they only have, I want to say it's like just a couple of hundred missiles left. Is less.
Missiles. Yeah.
No. Of the actual batteries, I think they functional. I think they have like
Isn't
4
like
or something like that.
Oh, I thought it was like 12. Okay.
No, they have very little. Yeah, very few. And the missile batteries are the ones that they ran down during the 12-day war. They used 25%. So the fact that
and they take a lot and they take a lot of time to replace.
They can make they can make again, guys. I'm sorry, I'm speaking from memory, but it's like less than 10 per year. It's around that. Like they're so complicated to make and so expensive that they can make a very small amount per year. So this is actually a very heavy blow.
I want to just clarify to our readers. We already fixed the tweet. Sorry for that. And you can follow us on Twitter and Telegram for verified updates on the aggression on Iran and the retaliation of Iran. Because honestly, from big news outlets, I see many mistakes, many misinformation. Maybe the idea
just because people are being very reactive and tweeting before they're verifying.
Not only this, Sharmin. You know this. we are the cradle. The point of the cradle, we are people from this region talking about this region. I think even an outlet that has a big budget and they don't know Arabic, or the editor doesn't know Arabic or whatever, there will always be misinformation. That's why we are a very reliable source now in these conflicts. And this is what we were talking about. So this is the a Kuwaiti base. And if you look here, we have, of course, impact here, and we have impact here, and we have impact here also. And I think there's an impact here, but there's no fire. In this base, the United States confirmed that around 3 soldiers have been killed. And I think in the near future, we will see in TV that many US soldiers died by a car accident, or they took their lives because that's what they do. That's what they did in Iraq. So this is the first confirmed US soldiers killed in Kuwait. This is the base, and this is the image.
So I want to mention something, a couple of things. One, it's called the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, first of all. Second, they have 8 THAAD batteries. I don't think the 8 of them are active, though. I'm pretty sure that at least a few of them are still, they just were paid for. They haven't been completed yet. And they have a capacity of 48 interceptors per launcher. In June 2025, they used up 150 interceptors, which is 25% of the total inventory. And the Pentagon plans to acquire 37 more interceptors this year. 37 in 1 year. So, I mean, this is not, as Karim said, this war is going to be longer than the 12-day war. But as Charmaine said, they don't have enough munitions. They simply do not have enough munitions to keep up a war that lasts longer than, I'm going to go on a limb here and say 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Now, if you see interceptors, I don't think these interceptors will last more than a week, especially in the Arab Gulf states, because they operate them. And for them, as I said yesterday and the day before, they moved everything further from the Gulf into Saudi Arabia and into Jordan. And I think into Iraq, but there is not enough news about Iraq. And talking about Iraq, I also want to mention yesterday we said that Iran was alone. Today, 2 factions or 3 factions from the Iraqi resistance joined, and they did damages in Erbil and in the U.S. consulate in Erbil that I will show now.
And there are crowds at the inside the U.S. embassy in Beirut. I'm not Beirut, in Baghdad. Is that right?
In the Green Zone, yes. Inside the Green Zone, yes.
Yeah. So here we see the fires and secondary explosions at the U.S. base in Erbil following strikes by Iraqi resistance. They have a Telegram channel where they publish what they are doing, and they also publish at night the launches that they did. And many people in the media, they are saying that Iran did this. No, these damages were inflicted by Iraqis in northern Iraq. And regarding the embassy, and this is also, I think, no, this is Haifa. And here,
that's the embassy. That's the Green Zone.
This is the embassy. Hundreds of Iraqis from the perimeter of the U.S. embassy in the Green Zone in Iraq, capital Baghdad. So here are they. They are also protesting, and this is not the first time. No. They did the same following the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. And now they are doing this, and I just want to remind people that after the assassination in 2019, 2020 of Soleimani, the Iraqi parliament asked the Americans to leave the country, and the Americans said yes. And in the news, you saw that the deal has been done, and now after 6 years, they are there, and they are using the airspace of Iraq to bomb Iran every day, every second. And the Israelis are using it, and the Americans are using it. And unfortunately, this also goes back to the mistake that Saddam did in the 80s when he tried to invade Iran, and they bombed Iraq like crazy. And in 2003, ironically, Iran said no for the Americans and for the West. You are not allowed to use our waters or airspace to bomb Iraq. And who paid for the war and accepted everything that the West wanted are the Gulf countries, spearheaded by Saudi Arabia, and now they are doing the same.
Let's talk a bit about that, actually, because there was an interesting report yesterday, and actually we're going to touch upon some of the discussion that Charmaine had with Alistair Crook in the latest episode of Rock the Cradle, but I want to bring this up for discussion.
Make sure to watch that right after this.
Please make sure to do that as soon as
we have to
finish today.
Yeah, mention it at the end. I don't want them to leave here and go there.
No, yeah, don't go now. Stay with us now. No, hit that like button. Please make sure to hit that like button if you're here with us right now, or if you're watching us later, just please do us that favor. Yesterday, the Washington Post came out with a very interesting report that said that over the past few weeks, it was Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who was lobbying Donald Trump to attack Iran now, to not delay. And hold on, I want to bring up exactly what it was that they said. He apparently, this is according to sources that spoke to the Washington Post, MBS warned that Iran will come away stronger and more dangerous if the U.S. did not strike now. His position was reinforced by his brother, the Saudi Defense Minister Khalid bin Salman, who held closed-door meetings with the U.S. officials. The Saudi leaders Okay, so that's what the Washington Post is reporting. They say MBS made multiple phone calls to Trump over the past month, advocating for the U.S. attack, despite his public support for a diplomatic solution. At the same time, this was yesterday that was reported. Today, Middle East Eye came out with a very similar report saying essentially the same thing, that behind the scenes, it was MBS who lobbied for Donald Trump, alongside, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu, to launch the attack this week. Having said that, and I know this is has been a very long item of discussion of debate between Sharmeen and Karim in particular, but I do want to hear from you guys. What do you make of this, and what actually did Alistair Crook tell you, Sharmeen?
Alistair Crook believes it's a rubbish report, as do I, because it comes at a very opportune moment. The Saudis are mad because their territory was struck, and even if they understand why Iran did it, they have to respond for their domestic constituencies in the way they did, as did most of the Gulf countries. But at the time that Mohammed bin Salman was meeting with Trump, he had one thing on his mind, and it was the UAE. And we know for a fact that he tried to get Trump to stop the UAE, or the UAE-backed RSF, Rapid Support Forces in Sudan, from the carnage they had wreaked across the country. So we know the UAE was on his mind. There's no question about it. We've been reporting this for ages when other Western media has not been reporting. And that rift, a very severe rift between Mohammed bin Salman and Mohammed bin Zayed of the UAE, had basically fractured this region in a whole different configuration that existed before this rift. So to even think that Mohammed bin Salman hightailed it to Washington to say bomb Iran when things were going very well with Iran, and in fact the Iranians and the Saudis were more and more on the same page. I mean, no country has taken a bigger bashing than the UAE in these Iran strikes, right? He's not going to be talking about bombing Iran. This is an opportunistic American piece of disinformation seeded in a national paper of record because they know the Saudis aren't going to come out now and say, no, we didn't say that. That would make them look bad. Do you see what I mean? In any normal circumstances, the Saudis could come out and, through their leaks or whatever, say that never happened. But in this case, it would look like they're defending Iran, and they're not going to do that. So it's a bunch of absolute Western MSM bullshit. And I really don't want to spend any more time on this because I'm not going to give oxygen to their dumb narratives. All right. I think we should maybe talk a little bit about what's been happening in the Persian Gulf today, or as a friend of mine suggested today, the Iranian lake, because in effect, everything happening in this lake, is now, based on what Iran deems possible and deems okay. Right now, I mean, we got a report from, I think, Reuters or some Western media outlet today that 150 oil and gas vessels were stuck either going in or coming out of the Persian Gulf through the Strait of Hormuz, right, which they cannot traverse based on Iran's closure of the strait. And what that will do tomorrow when the markets open is anyone's guess. Got reports from someone in Germany right now today, just in the last 2 hours, that petrol for the car was, can't remember if he said $30 or $30 higher. So the ramifications are already taking place. A lot of the vessels traversing those waterways are not just for oil and gas, but they're for goods. A lot of shipping vessels in Israeli ports have fled already. Insurers have hiked up prices at least 50%, if not more. And I think today, maybe you guys can help me out here. I'm sure there's the Iranians, per an IRGC statement, said they had targeted hostile maritime targets, 3 U.S. and British oil tankers in the Persian Gulf region and the Strait of Hormuz were struck by missiles and are reportedly burning. That also, I think on top of that, we can't not mention the supposed launching of 4 missiles towards the USS Abraham Lincoln. We don't know what happened there. And what's interesting, as you were showing these pictures, Karim, I was thinking, where did Esteban go, by the way?
He messaged me his laptop crashed. He will be back soon.
Okay. Sorry, what was I talking about?
We're talking about what the IRGC mentioned about what's happening in the sea.
Oh no, I was going to say, I was talking about the USS Abraham Lincoln, that, did the IRGC hit it? Did they miss? Did they breach its defenses? The big bunch of ships that every major U.S. aircraft carrier has alongside it. Here's the issue: like these 2 maps that were delivered now by Chinese companies, right? Chinese satellite companies, private companies, and the ones we've seen in the last week as well, showing U.S. fighter jets parked en masse in the Saudi airbase. These are clear signals that you are not going to be able to wage wars, meaning you, the Americans, the Israelis, are not going to be able to wage wars in which you hide your casualties, hide your dead soldiers, hide the destruction of your military hardware, your military bases, etc. And this is very scary to the Americans because they have, and the Israelis, because they've conducted a lot of their wars in dark, literally in the dark. I mean, from when George W. Bush banned the filming, right, and televising of U.S. soldiers returning, not in body bags, but with flag-covered, U.S. flag-covered coffins. Nobody saw any dead Americans anymore. And in anything that happens in the region, as Karim was mentioning earlier, it's like, oh, it wasn't U.S. military personnel. It was a U.S. contractor. No U.S. soldiers that has died in the region in God knows how long. It's always a U.S. contractor. In fact, there was a statement about U.S. deaths just yesterday. And again, it was U.S. contractors and their families, right? So, it would be very interesting if you had Chinese private satellite companies release pictures of the USS Abraham Lincoln, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just want to comment over Saudi Arabia. I can, sorry, Sharmeen. For me, I will not take long. For me, Saudi Arabia, in the future, we might even listen, although I don't have evidence, but the history tells us they might be the ones paying the Americans to bomb Iran. They are the ones that are providing petroleum for the airplanes for Iran, and they are the one even funding the war in Iran, as they did and fund the war against Iraq twice, against Yemen, against Saudi Arabia, and against USSR in Afghanistan. So we are always talking about what the Iranians are doing, but also we have to acknowledge that till now, 3 huge waves of air campaigns were launched against Iran and specifically Tehran. Here we are seeing footage from Tehran. You can see it's huge. They are bombing too much. If you look at the screen, you can see how much they bombed in Tehran. This is one wave of airstrikes. Of course, both are bombing. The Israelis are using, of course, the Syrian and maybe Jordanian. I don't have evidence, but the Syrian and the Iraqi airspace for sure 100% to bomb Iran. And also here we have footage of that was released by the Israeli army showing the moment Israeli fighter jets struck the Farallah headquarters and IRGC commander in northern Tehran. So Iran also is getting hit, but Iran, the aggressor is also being hit in the region, which is the United States, the Gulf countries, and Israel. And I have the people to know, because many people are asking me stuff about the war. We are still in the second day. If you want a ship to be sunk, for instance, don't expect it in the first day. It might happen after 1 week, after 10 days, it might not happen. But the war is still on, and it's not a retaliation. It's not like to promise 1, 2, 3, and okay, I will bomb you and I will stop. Okay, you made some damages for me. I will make some damages for you. It is a war. This is a war. It's not like just a retaliation.
This is all out war. Yeah, this is all out war.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I want to mention something that the Iranians are also targeting buildings, hotels, and facilities, even if they are commercial, that are being used or were used by the Israelis in the region, in Bahrain, in UAE, and there's reports saying in Kuwait and Qatar, but it's confirmed that in these two countries, UAE and Bahrain, they bombed like a story building or a hotel or a shop even that was used by the Israelis.
By the Mossad or the CIA. Let me bring you a couple
of... and Americans
guys.
Too. Americans too.
Yeah, CIA and Mossad. That's what they were saying. In particular,
that's what they said, Sharmi.
Apparently the 3 U.S. service members who died were serving in Kuwait, in particular, the ones that they have admitted died. There's also a new poll, a new Reuters Ipsos poll that says only about 27% of U.S. voters say they approve of the strikes, which are ongoing, what we are seeing right now, what we were watching on screen right now. Always worth noting, although I feel like at this point, does it even matter anymore? A war launched without congressional approval. Where's Congress? Does the United States have a Congress? What are these lawmakers doing? What is
Forget Congress. Let's go to the United Nations Security Council, where they did nothing.
That's how democracy works, Esteban.
I'm in shock. I'm sorry, guys.
That's the democracy that they want.
Exactly.
I think
guys, wait. Let me drop this in. There's reports that France is deploying the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier towards the Mediterranean immediately.
And you know what's funny is the French were the one European country that went at the UN Security Council, like we shouldn't this is not a good thing, right? They were the ones that sounded most negative about the US war in Iran. So it's interesting, just all masks falling at this point.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this super chat. We have the last I checked, we had about 2,000 people connected, but only about 600 likes. Regular viewers of our podcast will know that just makes us very sad. That just makes us very sad. So please hit that.
I can't. Yeah, I am already sad, but it's okay.
On top of everything.
So I also go ahead. I also want to mention this. This was the most significant. Sawani. Also, thank you, JB4421. He says, thank you for the thorough, extensive analysis. Thank you. Yeah, I want also to share this. So also the most significant hit that Israel took till now is in west of Jerusalem. A ballistic missile hit a target, and the Israelis announced that as the Americans, you don't know, they said 3 to 5 people killed. And afterwards, after like 2-3 hours, they said that 14 Israelis are missing from the building. So at least 20 Israelis died in this one hit. And again, I have to affirm it, yani, every now and then we are in the second day of war.
Yes.
Okay. Let's look at what the targets are. Esteban, you talked before the show about a Ynet report that was going around.
Yes.
I talked about this with Alistair as well. The report says that the U.S. planned Trump planned for a 4 to 5 day operation in order to weaken Iran's negotiating position and allowing a deal more favorable for the U.S. And then the Ynet report confirms what we reported yesterday through a Twitter account that we trusted, saying that it looks like the Americans had reached out to the Italian government to mediate with Tehran, requesting a ceasefire, which, of course, the Iranians rejected. Now, just that very idea that Trump thought he could do a blitzkrieg for 4 to 5 days. Yeah, no, without these these reactions that we're seeing that are surprising everybody in the world, including the Gulf. We have been saying at the Cradle that Iran changed its language in the last few weeks. It doesn't talk. The Iranians are not talking about a U.S. war against Iran. They're talking about a regional war. Okay. So number one, we know that on Iran's aims for any aggression started by the United States or Israel was instantly to ensure this became a region-wide war. All right. The second Iranian goal, which we saw in the June war, right, the 12-day war, when lawmakers passed a bill, legislation to authorize the shutting of the Strait of Hormuz if it was so required. And that has been done, right, already. Again, as Karim says, we're only in day 2. The third Iranian refrain that we've been hearing for quite some time since the Americans started threatening war in earnest was the Iranians said, we have been gaming a war against the U.S. For decades now. This is, little piddly Israel doesn't even count. We're not worried about a war with Israel. We've been gaming for a war with the world's biggest military power, right? And it is in our interest to prolong the war because the Americans, especially at a time where they've been literally for 4 years, supplying the military hardware for the Ukraine war, and then for 2.5 years been supplying Israel for its genocide on Gaza. What does the U.S. military have left in its arsenal? For Iran, a clear war aim is to prolong it and to bleed the Americans. And so they're going to bleed the Americans. They're going to bleed the Israelis for sure. Israel has no strategic depth. The Americans and Israelis combined don't have enough interceptors to intercept Iranian missiles. Iran has by and large used old stock in these 2 days of the war. And when they run out of interceptors, Israel with zero strategic depth becomes a sitting duck for the Iranians. The Americans, American ships, other ships, maybe the French aircraft carrier will go sit near Israel, as though that's going to stop anything. If Iran manages to target and severely disable a U.S. aircraft carrier, what are the British and the French going to send their one aircraft carrier?
No, they can't. Forgot. This we should not waste time on them. The France and UK both they both have less than 500 tanks. They have only a few ships. And for the past 10 years, the UK tried to launch a missile from the sea. They failed for 10 years, and we know what France did in the last time. I think in 2017 when the Americans bombed Syria. none of the French missiles arrived. And the point is, after following World War II, the mentality of Europe changed. They depended on the United States for protection and for the bases there, and they solely moved to intelligence and to train, highly train a few people. And this in war is not effective. So let us also, there's a breaking news now. There's this video. This video just now this was sent for us. The Israelis hacked the Iranian TV, and they broadcasted a message for Netanyahu in Persian. And I just wanted to show that that's the real thing that the United States and Trump and Netanyahu wants, and Trump said it yesterday. They want a regime change in Iran, and he thinks that they killed Khamenei, and he said that now I'm thinking who to appoint. That tells us he knows nothing of what's happening in Iran. He knows nothing about the Iranian people. And also this shows us or tells us that he's surrounded, to be exact, by Israelis, by Israeli Americans, not American Israelis. And of course they are giving him like misinformation. If you kill a leader in a country and get a new leader of a country that has educated people and more than 92 people in population, you can do it. It's not like
I mean, look at what they did in Venezuela, right? Essentially holding the country hostage because, well, Venezuela does not have the military capabilities of an Iran. Look at what I want to do to Cuba. Just a few days ago, he was saying we might have a friendly takeover of Cuba, which is also, like very revealing, but also speaks to the military reality of the island. With Iran, it seems to he wants to take the same approach, but it's a completely different beast.
I'm reading breaking. Still, we are confirming this. They said that Berlin and Paris and the UK are ready to be part of the war, which is expected.
A bit laughable.
It's expected.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Consider this, please, our viewers. Iran is refusing to let anyone wage war alongside it, okay? Iran turned down Russia's offer of a defense pact in their strategic agreement last year. This is something the Russians openly said and the Iranians openly said. Iran doesn't want or need its allies, Hezbollah, Hamas, Ansarullah in Yemen. But what happens? Israel has to arm twist and blackmail the biggest military power in the world to fight Iran for it. And the Americans clearly are not enough, because now the British, the French, and the Germans have to come to the rescue. I mean, this is getting to be dumb and dumber. I literally can't believe all of NATO. And why did they start this again? Like, did Trump not know? Trump
knows nothing, Sharmeen.
Wait, let me speak, please. Trump, who takes every opportunity to disparage the Europeans, now is going to need help from the Europeans to wage war against political Iran. I mean, their whole like propaganda paradigm is falling apart entirely. They're killing children in Iran, all right, with nary a thought, clearly because they don't know where the military targets are in most cases. They're hitting hospitals in Iran, and now Israel needed the U.S. Now the U.S. needs, the three idiots in Europe who have no economies. How are they going to fill their their tankers up? Their what is it called? Their aircraft carriers. Do they have enough oil in the UK, France, and Germany to fill up their aircraft carriers to send to the region? Literally, this is amazing. And we haven't even talked about the repercussions of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz on prices of everything everywhere.
Let me before we get into that, which is a very important topic, Karim, I sent a link that I would like to put on screen because last night there was a terrorist an attack. You know what happens in the U.S. With very frequently a mass shooting in which 14 people were killed. 2 people were killed and 14 others were wounded in Austin, Texas, allegedly by a man wearing a sweatshirt that said "Property of Allah" and another shirt with an Iranian flag design.
Oh, please!
This is according to a law enforcement official who spoke with the Associated Press. I mean, oh my God! If you know, this couldn't be more fishy if they tried. Let's be honest here.
Listen, they're just freaking out because have you been reading the news of like all these major mega US franchise companies just shutting down branches all over the place, from Macy's to Wendy's to Pizza Hut? It's kind of insane. Walmart, is it Walmart or Walton? I can't remember. Anyways, they're shutting down in the hundreds. This is happening, you know. There's nothing that is stopping the hemorrhage of the West economically, morally, and otherwise. And honestly, this is a distraction. Let everyone pile in. You know, like I said, Iran said this many times, and you know, people don't listen to what Iran's saying. It's like they don't listen to what Putin's saying. If they listened, we're telling them, we're telling the West what we're going to do, where we're setting our sights. How can the Americans be surprised? The Iranians said regional war, Strait of Hormuz, protracted war. What part of that? How come the cradle knows and the Americans don't know? You know, how come the cradle knows what the Russians are saying and planning to do in Ukraine and the Americans don't know? And we don't even cover Russia, Ukraine, you know? So it's kind of crazy. They need to do a better job listening. One of the things that interested me in asking Alistair Crook, who's of course is a former EU British diplomat and former MI6. I asked him about Russia and China. This is always a point of interest with our viewers and certainly in the comment section. And he believes they're not on board a military operation, but they're on board behind the scenes. And I think we're seeing that with these very, very interesting reveals by Chinese private companies who they've never done this before, but they're doing it now for sure, with an okay by the government in Beijing. So I think there's a lot happening behind the scenes. This is so epic, what's already happened in these 2 days from, I think, the perspective of Russia and China, in terms of like the way Iran's adversaries are flailing. They didn't expect a lot of these things. So China and Russia will be paying note of that. And Alistair was also talking about, I asked him, you know, obviously the Americans, one of the reasons they're coming for this region and they want to neuter Iran in this region is because, you know, they want to control the oil and gas of the world, right? I mean, they went for Venezuela, they're going, right? Major resource grabs. But this region is particularly important because of how much of its energy supply goes to China, right? And so I asked Alistair, you know, have the Chinese and the Iranians and the Russians talked together to prep for this? And he said, almost certainly, you know, and of course, I mean, there's, you know, the question is how much pain can a China take before all of a sudden it has to reconsider many things. I think they're aware these are planning nations, right? I think they're in it for, you know, the long haul, but certainly the few months that Iran anticipates it'll take to basically wipe out the missile arsenals of the West and their interceptors.
We've had a couple of more super chats from Wala Mahdi and from Tiro Siu. Yes, Tiro Siu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. Please just make sure to hit that like button. I completely lost my train of thought. You were talking about the Strait of Hormuz. I wanted us to get into that because yesterday the IRGC announced the essential closure of the Strait of Hormuz. There's been a handful of ships that have already been targeted for attempting to transit the strait. When you talk about the Strait of Hormuz, you're talking about 20% of the global oil trade. Now, after the death of Khamenei, it's truly just a matter of time until Yemen and the Yemeni armed forces led by Ansar Allah reestablish the closure of the Bab al-Mandab Strait. Now you're talking between those two straits, you're talking about 30% of the global oil trade. Yemen also, during its blockade since the start of the genocide in Gaza, also it didn't completely close it off, but it inflicted a lot of pain to the Suez Canal as well, right? Close to Egypt. So I think, as many people are saying, and as you just said, Charmaine, this is just going to be a test of time, a test of which side can withstand punishment for longer. Donald Trump likes things hard and fast. We know this about these men. Markets are set to open in the next few hours. The UAE Stocks Exchange has already said they will not open on Monday and Tuesday, at least.
And neither will the American Embassy in Beirut, by the way.
Yeah, they're also closed off. They're also closed. We have another super chat, by the way, by Kate C. Thank you so very much. What's the calculus here? Because I also just saw something. And again, guys, what we are seeing, it's probably 50% disinformation and 50% truth, or even probably more uneven than that. But I just saw a report that said that the U.S. didn't kill Masoud Pezeshkian, the president of Iran, because they felt that he's someone they can still negotiate with. Earlier today, Donald Trump spoke with The Atlantic and said the Iranians called us and say they are ready to talk, and I'm willing to talk to them. Donald Trump's words as he said them. And, everything we hear from the Iranians is essentially, just buckle your seatbelts. You just buckle your seatbelts because this is just starting and we are about to inflict some massive pain. I mean, what Arakchi said today, the quote I read you a few minutes ago, we have studied U.S. wars around us for decades at this point. So we know what to do and we know how to do it. I mean, what do you predict the next week is going to look like? Because, and with this I will finish, Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday also gave a speech in which he said that the United States is finally doing what we have wanted them to do for the next 40 years, and this will go until the end, essentially. No matter the cost, be it, of course, monetary, because, Israel gets free money from the U.S. every year, or be it personnel, because, again, it's going to be U.S. personnel on the front line, mainly. It doesn't matter. We're going to go towards the end. Do you think this has legs, this war?
I don't know. Listen, here's the thing. Every month that ticks by gets closer to the midterms. Trump is fried. If they run out of missiles, if they run out of interceptors, if a lot of, all these hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands or tens of thousands of U.S. troops get confirmed death. This is the thing, though. Iran's doing things so differently. And I think I can't think of another country that could do this all on its own, in this way, to a constellation of the most evil militarized powers on the planet. I mean, honestly, if Iran comes out of this, okay, who was saying, this Indian, really, really good Indian commentator on YouTube, great podcaster, military guy. He said, if Iran comes out of this, all right, who needs India? Like literally, who needs India? This is an Indian man talking about it. Like the map of Asia will change significantly. Let's not even go that far. We know that there's going to be a lot of hits because the animals, right, the evils, the demons, will just murder, mass murder as much as possible. Israel, of course, flashes its potential use and tries to mainstream the idea of using nuclear weapons on Iran. But you know what? There's not enough nukes that could stop the immediate pressing of buttons to launch a nonstop supply of ballistic and hypersonic missiles into Israel to devastate it. So,
just to mention that till now they didn't use hypersonic missiles.
Didn't they use the
I didn't
Fatah
say
zone
that.
today?
I didn't say that, Karim.
Yeah, I'm talking to our viewers. They didn't use till now hypersonic, and we said it yesterday that A commander in the IRGC, he said, wait 2 days or 3 days until you see our new missiles. So we are still in phase 1, according to the strategy of the Iranians. And I just want to play this. This was just sent to us. The recent sirens that I put when we started. Now the missiles, some missiles arrived. And here is a footage of an impact. And the Israeli media are saying that this is the first time in the past 2 days, the Iranian used a missile with multiple warheads that cluster bombs or cluster warhead. Sorry, I don't know the technical term in English. Was used in the middle of Israel, and it targeted different cities or locations. And that's a footage of the recent Iranian missile attack on Israel.
The IRGC is reporting that 40 Israelis have been killed and 60 wounded in Haifa so far. So, yeah, I mean, gloves are off, to say the least, right?
Yeah, يعني both, look, to be honest, to be frank, both they exaggerate or diminish the numbers of the losses. So maybe the 40 are 20 or 30, and
don't equalize them. Don't equalize them. One flat out lies. The other may exaggerate or underestimate, but I mean, one flat out lies and covers and censors.
The IRGC exaggerate, and the Israelis do the opposite. Yani it's known at this point, to be honest. So yeah. So we at the Credit usually stick to official the numbers that are released officially from both sides. We match them both.
The Israeli Home Front Command 8 minutes ago announced that it is now possible to leave bomb shelters. So
yeah, and just to mention that on average, yesterday I forgot, maybe channel 12 or 14 put it, the Israeli channels. For every sirens that are activated in Israel, around 4 million people go to shelters. And it's a population, Israel is a population of 9 million. And of course, the shelters are concentrated in Jewish-only communities, Arab 48 communities, and the villages that are still Muslim or Christians or Druze inside Israel, they don't have shelters. And that's why many videos you see people fighting who can go inside a shelter.
I mean, remember during the 12-day war, we saw multiple videos of these Zionist Jews essentially blocking the entrance of, as you said, Arab citizens.
And recently, yesterday, there were 2 videos, but I didn't prepare
them. Of domestic workers, not just
No, Sharmeen. Yeah, Sharmeen, yesterday, like a building, people went to the shelters, and people from another building that was crowded came to the shelters. The neighbors didn't allow them to go in.
Yes.
So this only happens in the West and in Israel. Imagine this is in Lebanon.
This is the chosen people. This is the
for
chosen
instance,
people.
or Iran or Iraq.
A little update.
This will never happen in our region.
A little update on the attack on the primary school in Minab yesterday. The death toll has risen to 153 students, 153 schoolgirls assassinated by the Epstein Alliance, by those who claim they want to liberate Iran.
Yeah, exactly. And they are like, it's too much when you see that Netanyahu he released a video with like Persian subtitles, and when asked Trump, he said that I'm thinking who to appoint the leader of Iran. It's insane.
It's so embarrassing. Like, Israel presents itself as technological geniuses and like next level everything. And they hack into Iranian TV to send a message to Iranians in Persian. I'm embarrassed for them.
It's nothing new. I mean, even previously, I think a Sudanese group did it in Israel, and the Iranians once did Iran. It happens. Yeah.
Apparently, the strategy here is, and I do not remember the source, but I saw it in one of the many, dozens of pages that we're checking regularly. The actual strategy of the Israelis is for the people to go to the streets. That's actually the strategic objective of this war. By decapitating the regime, as they like to say, and relentlessly bombing everything, they are essentially hacking exactly what you guys were just talking about and putting these messages. They want Iranians to topple the regime, right? They essentially want a repeat of what we saw in January, but under completely different circumstances.
Way to go! Kill Iranian supreme leader, okay, and the heads of their military, et cetera, bomb their schools, bomb their hospitals. And yes, Iranians are going to rise up in support of you. That's just the dumbest thing ever. I mean, I don't think that's their goal anyways. I think it's just because even at the UN Security Council, the Israelis were making the argument they were there to help the Iranian people. So they have to keep that lie in play, even though nobody believes it anymore. Karim, I'm going to send you something in our group. If you could just please play it. It's a tweet. It's kind of insane. Just so you think, if you think the Israelis are going to be done with you Americans once if they defeat Iran, watch this crazy clip.
While Karim puts that up on screen, I just want to mention something that it's today. CENTCOM also confirmed that the attacks yesterday, and I believe this has actually in relation to the assassination of Khamenei, were B-2 stealth bombers that flew out of the U.S. And this is something that they also did in the 12-day war. Remember when they flew straight out of the U.S. to
I don't believe
Iran.
them. I don't believe them. Listen to this. Who's this schmuck again?
It's Naftali Bennett.
Yeah, he was the prime minister of.
So this is what the former Israeli prime minister is saying now. Listen to this.
Is emerging. I want to be very clear. Turkey and Qatar have gained influence in Syria, are seeking influence elsewhere and everywhere throughout the region. And from here, I warn, Turkey is the new Iran.
Oh my God! The pause
I mean,
everything.
Just so you know that your country, Americans, is going to be paying through the nose and dying for Israelis forevermore. You know, eventually it's going to be Indonesia is Muslim. Let's go after Indonesia. Do you know what I mean? There's too much Muslim influence in South Africa.
Don't forget Pakistan.
Oh, Pakistan, definitely. But look at how they're going after NATO ally, one of the original, biggest land army in NATO, Turkey. They're going after Turkey. So if anyone thinks this stops at Iran after the Israelis push them into war with Iraq, what is it?
Sharmi, don't cover your mic. Your sound is cutting.
Oh, okay. If they think, after destroying Syria, Palestine, Iraq, Iran, there's Turkey, there's so many more. They're going to suck you dry in every way possible, Americans. Just know that Israel has its sight on Turkey now.
Christ. I'm reading about the Pakistan-Afghanistan war. They're reporting about 1,000 casualties in Afghanistan already, completely out of the blue. Sorry, I was just reading about this now.
Afghanistan is tweeting support for Iran, by the way, so maybe that explains that.
I could explain.
So Trump, to the Daily Mail, just said that it will be a 4-week process because Iran is a big country, and he said that he hasn't been surprised by any of the outcomes so far.
Of course.
No, this is not going the way he wanted it.
No, it isn't. The Israelis themselves in this Ynet report said 4 to 5 days is what he was expecting. But go ahead, Esteban.
No, actually, let's go back to that. Let's go back to the report of the Italy that the U.S. tried to reach Iran via Italy, and the Iranians rejected any talks outright. I mean, honestly, I feel like
on day one, Esteban, Trump tried to reach out. He's now saying we expected this to last 4 weeks. He's lying on day one.
Yeah, he's lying. This is not going to last. They don't have the munitions. They don't have the interceptors. And the Iranians have shown that, like what Arakshi said, right? What was it that he called it? The mosaic defense strategy or something like that?
So also we have breaking. Also, the United States bombed the bazaar and
let him finish his comment and then tell us the breaking.
Okay.
I was just finishing already. He called it the decentralized mosaic defense, which is something that we have already seen established. They kill leaders, they are replaced. I mean, the Iranians have been, as you say so many times, they've been working on this for decades. Donald Trump, it has buyer's remorse. I guarantee you that.
By the way, the new interim supreme leader of Iran is a Kantian philosopher. He studied.
Oh no!
He did his doctoral thesis on Kant's philosophy of mathematics.
Not a fan,
just to let you know. And
It's
he was a brigadier general in the Revolutionary Guards. And apparently, and we don't know this because somebody said this to me, and I checked with one of our Iranian reporters, but somebody was saying, "Oh, we're hearing he's going to reverse Khamenei's fatwa on no nuclear weapons," but in fact, the only sense where he talked about nuclear anything was, I think, last year when there was some discussion of nuclear. He didn't say anything of the sort, but who knows? We know that a future Iranian supreme leader may reverse,
the fatwa.
The
religious
fatwa.
prohibition, right? A religious prohibition.
Yeah, or issue a new one, that says we have to do this for preservation.
So Donald Trump has spoken to NBC about the casualties. He says of the U.S. casualties, we have 3, but we expect casualties. But in the end, it's going to be a great deal for the world. So says the president of the United States about his soldiers dying for a war with no congressional approval, with absolutely no concern of the U.S. Let's be honest. Iran has never been a threat to the United States. That's a bold-faced lie. And this is, what
it depends.
media...
It depends.
It
If
depends.
you consider Israel part of the United States,
Do you remember how, Trump was like, we're going to kick Yemen's ass, right?
Okay.
And they go in there and they're there. It's like months and months and months. And, European captains of these like various naval ships are like crying, like, I've never seen anything so horrific and hard before. And then one day Trump's like, yeah, we're done. Just like that. I mean, who knows how
he abandoned. Remember that he abandoned the Israelis then because he reached a deal with Yemen for them to stop attacking U.S. assets,
Correct.
but not to stop attacking Israel itself. The occupied Palestinian territories.
He might say to the Iranians, listen, leave us alone. All right, don't announce that we've said we're sorry and we want to exit. Have at it with Israel, right? And then what does Israel do? You think Keir Starmer will get on a camel and head over to help Israel?
That's what I was going to say. Maybe he will leave the French and the British and the German ships in the Mediterranean. You deal with the fallout of this, and I will just go home. Right now, the IRGC has also confirmed that they have downed so far 17 Hermes drones, which I believe these are the Israeli drones, and at least one MK9 drone, of which, remember, the Yemenis down like 25. MQ9.
Yeah, regarding the Europeans, I think they are acting as they acted before and as they always acted in the last 30, 40 years. They see any country that the United States attacks as a cake and they want to be part of it. They know they can't provide anything in wars anymore, but they want to be part of it so they can take part of the cake. Just to tell you, Esteban, you are muted, yeah?
I am muted.
Yeah. So I wanted to just put back this map and explain for our viewers what is happening. So this map is, of course, on our Patreon, and there's a lower resolution and few info, one on our social media. So till now, most of the attacks that Iran did is here in the Persian Gulf. In the Persian Gulf, here is the Ali Al Salim air base that we showed you previously. It was hit, and one of these bases, according to the Americans, 3 Americans, according to the U.S. government, 3 Americans died or 3 U.S. citizens died. And of course, here in the UAE, where we saw the fires, it's near Dubai. Here's also a base that was targeted. And in various places in the UAE was targeted, not only, as I said, not only military bases or military posts, also infrastructure or buildings that were used by the Mossad and the Israelis. Here, Al Udeid is where yesterday the Iranians said that they targeted the biggest radar that has 5,000 kilometers of range, and also the most videos that were circulating around is from Bahrain. Bahrain took a lot of hits, also, although it's the smallest country in the region. But they have the U.S. Fifth Fleet, the command of the U.S. Fifth Fleet that is responsible from Africa till India. The headquarters is there, so they took a lot of damages. And while I'm speaking, there is breaking also. The state TV of Bahrain announced that new attacks were done by Iran, and they hit something near the port of Manama. And also, Prince Sultan Air Base was targeted by the Iranians, the blue dot here, and also Oman today was targeted, but not as much as UAE and Qatar and Bahrain and Kuwait, of course. And also,
what did they
Here
attack
we-
in Oman? Wasn't it like the supply, like the
Yeah,
U.S. was
so, yeah,
bringing in
so-
military supplies?
Yes, 100%. هلا, thank you. You asked this question. So the dots on the blue, they are bases fully controlled by the Americans, meaning that the Americans even they have the decision to allow a person, from instance, to Saudi Arabia to enter Prince Sultan because they have full control of the land and the airspace and the surrounding areas. This applies to the blue, most of the blue dots, and also they have a base here in Iraq, but it was not used for the build-up. That's why it's not blue. So if we go down Oman, they have like an agreement with the United States. They have a commercial and military ports that they allow the United States to use, but they are not fully controlled by the United States. That's what was bombed today by the Iranians. And if we go to the north here, we see here is the Kurdistan Iraq region, and here we have a base, and near it we have the U.S. consulate in Erbil. So the resistance in Iraq is currently and non-stop, we can say, they are trying to hit and bomb the consulate and the base. Until now, they were successful, if I'm not mistaken, 3 times. At the beginning of this episode, if you go back at the beginning, I posted the videos. And of course, there's Israel. Here we have a range of missiles that are 1,000 kilometers. And just to explain also for our viewers, mid-range ballistic missiles, they start with 3,000 kilometers. So anything that hits Iran is a ballistic missile. Here, in this region, the region is, as I said, between around 200 kilometers till 230 kilometers, which is around maximum 180 miles, the range of missiles that are used by Iran to target the U.S. bases and interests in the region. And here in Israel, we see the range should be 1,000 kilometers. Till now, there's no info that Iran used an extraordinary missile. They are using normal ballistic missiles. Just now, the Hebrew media said that Iran used a missile with cluster bombs, but it's not yet confirmed by Iranians or the Israeli military. So, as expected, or as many people expect, and as the Iranians said, within maybe 2 days or tomorrow, they will start to use hypersonic missiles, and they will use more powerful missiles. And lastly, here, of course, we have the most important thing, other than the people, of course, and the petroleum of this region, are the straits. First, we have Strait of Hormuz, which is many tankers and many ships now are here and they don't know what to do. They are stuck here. And also we have the Bab el-Mandab, which was easily controlled by Yemen in the past year. And of course, here we have poor Egypt, which was one of the strongest countries in Africa and in the Arab world, and it had so much influence until it surrendered to Al-Sisi and to Saudi Arabia and to UAE. Now they have zero effect, the Egyptians. So that's what's happening in the region.
That is a great breakdown, Karim.
And last but not least, these are the Iranian missiles. I just want to give a brief information. They start with Disavolt. This is the first range missile that can strike Israel. And there's many different ranges. The moment you see more than 1,000 kilometers, this means that it can target Israel. And here we have Fattah 2 and Fattah. They are hypersonic missiles that were not used. And of course, Khormashahar, or people call it Khormashahar 4. It has many names, but commonly it's known as Khormashahar. It's also a hypersonic missile, and we have Sigil that is capable to strike U.S. interest in Europe, not only in the region. If we go up here, because there is many bases in Greece and other places. And last but not least, we have cruise missiles. Usually these are very slow, and also they are easy to down, but they are the most accurate. If we see here, we have anti-ship cruise missiles that can target and precise any ship in the region, and American ship, of course. But of course, it depends how the military takes action. If they want to throw drones first and then these, or traditional missiles. But if Iran manages to strike any ship with this, it will be a deadly strike for any ship in the region.
Thank you so much for that, Karim. That was a masterclass in
Thank
exactly
you.
what we were witnessing. Guys, I think we should wrap it up for today. I think we have covered as many topics as we are able to, especially with a developing situation like this. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow. So please, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to do so and turn on the notifications so that you can know just when we are about to go live. We're going to stick, of course, with this developing story as closely as we can. Follow us on our social media accounts, where we are giving by-the-minute updates on everything. And you can, well, not just because we are the Cradle, but you can definitely trust the Cradle in what we are reporting. We verify it. We do not put fake news. We are very careful about exactly what we publish, and especially in developing situations as this one. So thank you to everyone who joined us today. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Thank you to our Patreons. And again, as I always tell you, we are currently doing a Patreon drive. For as little as $5 a month, please consider becoming a Patreon and supporting the Cradle. Help the Cradle remain independent.
And please make sure to watch the interview today with Alistair Crook. We will bring you not just live podcasts every day, but on most days we will bring you exclusive interviews with Iran experts and others who can give us a play-by-play on things maybe most of us don't see about the conflict in the region.
Exactly.
Last piece of news before we close. Reports are saying that missile landed in Jerusalem, and new sirens in Israel. They are expecting within 10 minutes a new barrage of missiles to land in Israel.
So they left the shelters just to run back in.
Yeah. And please don't forget to follow us on our social media, and of course on our Patreon. And we read your suggestion, and we take them seriously. And on Patreon, if you have any question or suggestion on Patreon, you will see it being translated here as this show, as the interviews, as many things that you suggested, as the maps also. So we hear you, and we're waiting to hear for you more on Patreon. And thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you for being here. We'll see you. Bye.
West Asia is always on the map, but rarely in its own voice. This region has been narrated by others for far too long. That's why the Cradle exists, to report from the region, not to speak over it.
Together, the United States
to tell stories with depth, precision, and no editorial leash. Because West Asia is more than just a theater of war. It's the corridor between continents, the energy artery of the world, the cradle of civilization. We don't take government orders. We don't serve corporate boards. We serve clarity, rarity, and rawness, no matter the risk. So if you believe this region deserves better than spin, support the people doing the legwork. Donate. Keep the Cradle independent. It's 100